And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Escape Plan. Now, Escape Plan from Eagle-Gryphon Games is a big, grandiose game designed by Vital Lacerda. And his games are big, heavy Euro games. He's known for things like the Gallerist or Vinos. Now, I've not played actually a ton of his games, but I know that his games are in-depth, a lot of intricate rules. So that's one of the reasons I haven't played a ton of his games. I played the Gallerist. But the theming of this game, the fact that you are part of a group of thieves who just did your big robbery, and now you're splitting up and trying to get out of town, and you're trying to get the most money. You've hid your money all over the city and are trying to get out. That attracted me. I also heard that it was one of his easier to learn games. That necessarily did not make it easy, that's what I heard. So I was very intrigued with it. I looked at it, tons of pieces, tons of moving parts, but man, that theme really attracted me. Let's see what happens. Please don't use this video as a way to play the game. I'm not going to go over all the rules of the game. I just want to kind of give you an overview of what you're trying to do. You'll see here at the beginning of the game you have some tiles here. There are more tiles over there, and as the game goes by, these tiles are going to be added to the board to create a map. There are 3 exits in the game. You are trying to figure out which of these exits is open and escape out of it before the game is over. You have to escape to win, but to win, you're trying to collect money. Each player is going to have an escape plan card at the beginning, and basically you have stashes of money hidden in different buildings around the city. So for example, in the gym here, I got 50,000. In the nightclub, I have 100,000. So you need to go to these places to collect that money. Players will also be collecting some money. They'll also be spending this money over the course of the game. This will be added to their totals at the end. You have a board here. Each player has their own player board. Contact cards. If you have a chance to get different contacts over the course of the game and place them here. These are people that you use to help you. And if you fill all the way over to the end, that's also extra money. And then when you go to different areas, you can find lockers and open up these lockers and hopefully find stashes of money there too. So there's different ways to get money, but you have to escape to win. In each day of the game, and you need to escape by the final day, players are going to have 3 different action that they're going to take, and if you get extra action discs over the course of the game, you will be able to spend those to take an additional 1 or 2 actions. Now, players can use an action to rest, which can help them reset a few things on the board, but most of the time they're going to be moving on the board and moving from zone to zone, at the same time trying to avoid the police. There will be different police all over the board. They'll be added. Sometimes players will have a chance to remove them. Players will be putting out new tiles, which could bring out new businesses that players can visit. So you're going to move, avoid the police of the areas that you move through and move from, or not avoid them and take damage, and then visit a place on the tile or on a spot that you end up at. You can visit businesses, and when you visit businesses, you'll basically just place a cube of your color on that business over here, showing that you visited it, which could give you some income as time goes by, or at the end of the game, give you that money that you so desperately need. You can go hire gangs that are scattered throughout the board. These gangs will help you avoid the police and other things that you can do. You can go to stores and buy supplies, and there are various supplies you can get that will give you special bonuses, or buy gas. You'll see there's some gas over here that you can buy to move farther. You can buy equipment as the game goes by that will help you avoid the different police officers on the board. So that's essentially, players are trying to figure out the best places to go as they travel around. Sometimes you'll be forced to go to the hospital to heal up your wounds. A player board is going to have a lot of the information you're using over the course of the game. Over here is the amount of income you have, but the more cubes you use, place on the board, your income is going to go down. You have these little asset tiles that you'll be able to move over here that you'll be able to use at different costs. And if you do use them, you'll get money at the end of the game added to your final score. And the more of those, the more spaces these open up. You'll be able to add contact cards, as I mentioned earlier. These cards are cards you'll be able to flip over and use to do various things. Like, for example, this guy lets you avoid a red police officer. You can get these equipment tiles up here. This one here again lets me avoid one of the police officers, the black ones, one of the red ones here. And these are here. I can use this tile, for example, if I have it, to move a red police officer to another area. One of the main features of your board, though, you have this rest. And you can rest instead of making a regular action, and that lets you unflip a few things if you've used them before. It especially lets you unflip your band-aid. Each time you can't avoid a police officer, you take a wound. If you need to take more than 3 wounds, then the police are coming after you. You'll take these handcuff cards, which are going to shut down these zones here. You definitely don't want that. Flipping the band-aid over can heal you a wound. You can also go to the hospital, but then there's the chance you go to the hospital, they're going to report it. There's also free clinics on the board and things like that you can do. But you're trying to avoid taking wounds if at all possible. Also, having wounds will cause you to lose money at game's end. There's a lot of other things going on in the game. You're going to try to find different colored keys that you can use for a few things on your board, but also mostly to unlock lockers, to go through stacks of lockers and find the stashes of cash there. As the game goes by, a system of cards here is going to eliminate. You can see that there's 2 cards for 1, 2 cards for 2, and 1 card for 3 in this particular game, which means 3 is the exit players need to get out. And as the game goes by, you get that information a little at a time. So in the final round of the game, players need to get to that exit. Once you escape from an exit, you cause everyone else to have to pay extra money to get out. And so there's kind of a push. You can run out right away, but people who stay in the city might be able to run around and get a little bit more money. If you don't escape, you can't win. Of the players who escaped, whoever gets the most money wins the game. As I said, there's a lot of other little details, but that kind of gives you an overview. I should also mention over here, notoriety. Various actions will cause you to do that, which can cause you to lose money, but it helps you go first in turn order. So that's another thing players need to watch. There's more gangs, there's all sorts of things going on, but someone needs to escape. When it comes to components, there's a lot of components in this game that are amazing and wonderful and nice and beautiful. Realize that some of the components that are pictured throughout here, there's a little upgrade kit that I got when I got the game. The board itself is fantastic. There's recessed spots for many of the things that go on it, and I just really like it. There's a lot of symbology in the game for sure. But as time goes by, that symbology does become pretty clear. The one thing that was a little confusing to me was the notoriety. You have cubes here, and every time you take or lose notoriety, you put it here, and then that transfers to the main board, and then these reset. That was a little confusing, I think, but other than that, I really like how the game looks. The board itself has these zones. When you place a new tile, you have to have like at least one part of a zone touch another one. They have to touch 2 tiles. It's pretty simple. And the different establishments themselves, not only does it have a picture, but just basically a straight up symbol here. So this is the diner here, and so you know what that is. That's not hard to figure out. And it's easy to see the board here. Even it looks kind of like a map, but also I can see zone, 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 because you'll be moving from zone to zone. If you have helicopter cards, the helipads are clearly marked here. So I very rarely was like, what does everything do? Even most of the, there's all these different cards here in the game that have different symbols, but I found, they're the kind of symbol where you need to look up first. What does fast car mean? Oh, I can avoid a police of any color. Well, sure, after you figure that out once, they're pretty easy to remember what they do. The money itself, really good tiles, the colors for the players, the wooden pieces, it is an absolute great quality, high production game, even without the extras. And when you add in the extra stuff, like there's little metal keys that can be added, it just really shines in how it looks. Great, great components. So I'd like to structure this end part by talking about my concerns about the game and how they were addressed. So we'll start with my concerns with the theme. Like, I went into this saying, okay, I played The Gallerist, that's the last one I played of his. It was kind of like an art gallery, but there was lots of parts of it which didn't really make any sense to me at all. And I know I've actually argued with people over this, and they were like, it almost felt like there was justification being made for the theme. I don't want justification. I want the theme to come to life, especially a really intriguing, interesting theme like this. Well, I'm happy to say that it works. I mean, it's not, perfect, I guess, but it is pretty stinking close. Everything that I did in this game felt like I was meeting contacts and going and getting the key and sneaking into the gas station, trying to get by the police and hiring a gang to do my dirty work for me and get in there and searching for this stuff and avoiding a certain place that I knew I had money at, but it was too dangerous to go to because there was too many police officers there, and spending extra cash now to be able to use something later and looking for that way to get out of the city. All that really came to life. And as someone who's a huge theme person, and I can live with games that don't have it, but I like theme in my games, I was thrilled that the theme was so strong in this one, and it matches the mechanisms. You can't go through water usually, but if you have a boat, you can. That just makes sense. There's some things like the police officers, or the red, blue, and black police officers. I know they stand for different types of police officers, but that doesn't make a ton of sense as the game goes by. But everything else, I really enjoyed this theme coming to life. My second concern was the complexity of the game. I know there are people out there who fall down at Lacerda's feet. They love everything he does. I'm not necessarily in that group. I think I can admire what he does, but his games always look or feel a bit more complex than they have to. Now, Escape Plan really edges close to that. When I played it, I thought, I wonder if they could have cut out a few things here and streamlined it just a bit. But I didn't find it overly complex. And don't get me wrong, this is still on the upper end of the scale. I know, out there's some Vital Lacerda fans saying, this is not as nearly as complex as other games. Yes, but for the vast majority of us, there's a lot going on in this game. However, much of that is appeased by the theme and how the theme makes things make sense. Well, that's great. That's one of the things I'm looking for in a game, is the theme helping me understand the mechanisms. There's still a lot going on. The rule book is still pretty big. In fact, I was actually taught the game by a very good teacher when I played, but I went through the rule book. The rule book's very straightforward, a lot going on, but there is a lot. There's a lot of symbols, there's a lot of things, a lot of the moving pieces, and most people for their first game are probably not going to completely understand it and absorb it as time goes by. But I think the game itself is fulfilling enough that you will not mind the higher complexity. Again, compared to most of his games, this is easier than how they're designed. My third thing was, with the theme and the complexity, my concern was, at the end of the day, is the game fun? And I really do enjoy it. I was a little concerned when I saw how the wounds worked. I'm like, oh, you get wounds, and then you have cards, and there's this constant struggle. There is, but here the struggle works for me. So a lot of games have struggle. Feed your people, radiation, whatever these games have. In this one, it's wounds and avoid the police. But that is the whole focal point of this game. You can play this game fairly safe. Go around, get contacts, get things, slowly sneak through. But it rewards you being a little bit more daring, running through more police officers, trying to get that money. Sure, you can lose this game at the end by going to the wrong exit. A series of unfortunate events can cause a lot of things to go wrong, and you can just not escape the city. But that's more of a player choice than anything else. It's kind of like, well, you can see as the game goes by what exits are going to be closed and which ones possibly might be open. And in fact, the first game I played, we figured out which exit was the open one pretty quickly, but sometimes it will take longer. But you can still position yourself so on the last turn, you have a chance to go out. And then the game presents a kind of push your luck aspect that I enjoy, where it's get out of the city quickly and, hope that you've won, or stay in the city as long as you can, trying to get more stuff, but at an increased cost. My fourth concern about the game was, with all this going on, are you really making that many decisions? Like I said, there's 4 rounds. Each round has 3 actions. That's 12 actions. That doesn't seem like a lot. But the actions are fairly intense. Like, I get to go here, and then I pick the location, and there's a lot of locations to go to. When I go to the location, what can I do at that location? Here's the things I'm going to do at that location. If I buy a contact or buy some equipment, what am I going to buy? At the same time, the game doesn't drag. That was my last concern, was that this would be a long game. This game is 2 hours max, and it feels interesting. It feels fun. There's not a ton of player interaction, but you can cause some notoriety if you go to a place where someone else is. You're watching what they do. You saw them go to and open the locker, so maybe there's less loot than there might be for you to go there. You're watching and seeing where they put cubes on the board. You're trying to maybe when it's your turn to put a map tile out, make it so it helps you and other people. So there's enough player interaction that I'm satisfied, but not so much that I think people who hate that in-your-face direct conflict will be bothered by it. This is a cool game. It is admittedly going to be a hurdle for many people to get into with the different rules, but the theme, the vast amount of pieces, I guess I should mention as a slight negative, the setup and takedown is going to be a bit, but I think that the payoff is worth it. I can say it's my favorite Lacerda game, but then again, I haven't played a ton of them, but I enjoyed it a lot. It is an experience. It's the kind of game where it gives you that deep, thoughtful Euro game type feeling, but also the game I can tell a story about when it's over. Like, oh yeah, and then I escaped the police, and I did this, and I flew the helicopter, and then I found $100,000 in that gas station. That works for me, and that is why I like Escape Plan. Dice Tower Judgment approved!
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.